This first news story comes to us from The Verge, written by Antonio G. Di Benedetto. That's quite the name. What's the real difference between the PlayStation 5 and the PS5 Pro anyway? That's what we're all wondering.
About 25%.
That's what we're all wondering here. After various rumors and leaks, the PlayStation 5 Pro is finally official, complete with the new GPU, $700 price point, and no built-in disk drive.
Oh my God.
But is that pretty much it? What makes this new console 40% more expensive than the existing PS5 you can buy today for $500? The same one that's bound to go on sale during the holidays, not long after the Pro's November 7th launch date. What are the differences between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro that make it, depending on who you ask, a worthwhile upgrade or a superfluous expense? The PS5 Pro has 3 core performance improvements over the standard PS5, according to Sony's technical presentation announcement hosted by the PS5 lead architect, Mark Cerny. It's got a new, more powerful GPU for more compute power and faster rendering, advanced ray tracing for improved in-game reflections, and more immersive lighting, and a new PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaler to keep frame rates high without sacrificing resolution and image quality. The GPU is really the star of the show. As Sony is saying, it promises to have 67% more compute units and 28% faster memory, yielding 45% faster rendering. It's a whole lot of percents that don't add up to 100. But but the CPU and storage speed in the PS5 Pro is unchanged. So while it should deliver 4K resolution and maintain 60 FPS or greater, it's possible the console won't load or boot up games any faster. I mean, they already load up pretty fast. Can you really get any faster?
They're honestly quite lightning fast, how fast games load nowadays. Like, Astrobot levels load in 3 seconds. Have you ever timed it? It's always 3 seconds or less.
I never really timed it. I just love playing with the triggers for like the few seconds you have, because if you like play with the triggers, it does like little throttles on the. I love like an interactive load screen.
Of levels. Yeah, if they're loading whole portions of levels in 3 seconds, I have no complaints.
It's pretty good, pretty dang good. The biggest change for current PS5 owners is that playing on a PS5 Pro will no longer require choosing between performance and fidelity modes, a decision many current games force on users for either prioritizing frame rate smoothness or crisper visuals. But Sony could just move those goalposts with a PS5 Pro, since the upcoming console also supports 8K gaming. Hey, guess what? The box for my PS5 also says it supports 8K gaming. So I'm going to bring it up every time. Okay? They can't just take it off the box and pretend that it was never there, because it was. I have it. My PS5 can supposedly play 8K. That's what they told me. If not, I'm taking them to court. Suing them. False advertising. It's possible performance and fidelity modes will still be with us if playing games in 8K means once again sacrificing frame rate, which it's sure to do. The difference there is that most people will not care, because who the hell owns an 8K TV right now? As for ray tracing, that feature's been...
No one.
Exactly, no one. That's a feature that's been supported in the PS5 since launch, but the PS5 Pro's advanced ray tracing is promising to make it better, with more dynamic reflections and light refractions. Basically, games with pretty lighting and lots of reflections should look a little bit better. Rejoice, Gran Turismo 7 fans. So far, ray tracing on the current PS5 has been a little lackluster compared to what's possible on PCs with high-end GPUs, which, to be fair, cost more than PS5 Pro on their own, but that's more to do with the games themselves and the console. Many titles aren't optimized for ray tracing on console, although there haven't been some PS5 standouts like Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that have a good ray tracing performance. PS5 Pro should just make them look better without compromising for the sake of frame rates. So that's, there's a lot more of this article that gets into the real nitty gritty here. The main thing though is the ray tracing, the PSSR, and just the ability to like not have to choose between performance or fidelity mode, which at first I was like, oh, who cares? Like, I always play in performance mode, and most of the times you can't really tell that it looks crappy, at least on my screens. But then I watched what's the name of that? The people who do all the pixels, like they get all the nitty gritty.
Digital Foundry?
Digital Foundry did a video on PS5 Pro with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And it was insane, like how good it looks, because it's 60 FPS with the crisper details, because they did Rebirth dirty. Most games like look a little worse in performance mode, but not that bad. Like it's like, oh, it's just totally fine, there's nothing wrong with this. Rebirth was a little crappy, to be honest, in performance mode. Like it was blurry, fuzzy, all sorts of stuff. So when I watched the Digital Foundry video, I'm like, shoot, like I don't need a PS5 Pro, but that does look real dang good. But what were you going to say? What it comes down to?
Oh, I was going to say, here's what it comes down to. Basically, with PS5 Pro, right? There's no way, again, we are going to get anywhere near regular PC specs, right?
Right.
So, do you want ray tracing at 30, or do you want I mean, basically, do you want ray tracing at 1440p at 30, or do you want ray tracing at 1080p at 60? Because that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah, because that's the whole point of the PSSR is, even though it's outputting at 4K or even 8K, PSSR is just AI upscaling. So it's taking a 1440p or 1080p picture and then just making it look like it's 4K or 8K. It's not actually 4K or 8K, which is exactly what PCs do. Don't get me wrong. Like that's on NVIDIA, it's called DLSS. On AMD cards, it's called FSR. That's the reason you can play like these crazy games on the Steam Deck, because you can use FSR, like the AI upscaling. But it I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of extra money to pay for just such a minor thing. Like it's just, and there's nothing wrong with getting one. Like if you got the cash and that's something you care about, great. Like I want to be extremely clear about that. Like I don't, like if you want to get one, great, fantastic. But for at least for me personally, and I feel like for both of us, it's almost like I'm pretty happy and content with what I'm getting now. Like, why spend $700 on this thing that like barely pushes the needle? And I love that this article mentions it too, is, well, those goalposts will just keep moving. Like once you give those developers more power, they're just gonna make games that are bigger. So then you still have to choose between performance or fidelity mode on your PS5 Pro, and the game is just more pretty or more frames. Like it's only a short window where you're getting both, right? Like that's ultimately what's gonna happen. It's like you just gonna get this short window where, okay, like, all right, you get your cake and eat it too, and then it's like, oh, just kidding. You still have to choose because now the games are bigger and more beautiful, but you can't have both now. Sorry. I don't know. So it just seems crazy to jump into that ecosystem.
You're still choosing, and that's my problem.
I mean, that's what they're saying. You shouldn't have, you're not good. They're advertising it. You don't have to choose. But again, we all know that's not true. Within a year, games are going to be pushing the limit of the PS5 Pro. And then we're right back where we started. So I just, this is, I do want to say, this is cool technology. Like, I'm not mad that this exists. Like, I'm glad that they've developed it, more so for the future, for like PS6. So like when PS6 comes out, they already have, at that point, they maybe they go from PSSR to PSSR2, like whatever the new version of this AI upscaling is, so it can do it even better, more efficiently, less power, to do better quality. I'm excited about like, just again, like I don't know, in a lot of ways it's setting a good groundwork for PS6. It just feels like this isn't a worthy step forward for like a half step for like a pro console here. When PS4 Pro came out, I felt like I needed that, because my PS4 was sounding like a freaking jet engine playing a lot of those games. And let me tell you, my PS4 Pro sounded like a jet engine playing some of those games as well. Like playing Last of Us Part 2 on my PS4 Pro. It struggled. It struggled even to do that. Like that was borderline a PS5 game that we all got on PS4, which was amazing. But so the PS4 Pro, like to me, like really felt like a worthwhile upgrade. Where, this one just I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Do you have specific thoughts on why you're not feeling it? Like, because that's at least from what I understand. Or do you have? Is there a chance you would pick this up if A, B, or C happens, kind of thing?
I would pick this up if there was a crazy trade-in deal on the original model, like if they were giving you $450 for it.
That's true.
Then we can talk about, possibly doing an upgrade, which nobody in their right mind is going to do, because you're not going to buy it from me for $400 and then only make $100 profit as a store.
Right.
So that's out. I am still on the fence or not on the fence, but on the hill of, I don't think that these developers have tapped PS5 in its entirety yet.
No, that's another point. That's a good point.
Right. And I think that
like I just mentioned, my PS4 was screaming, and like my fan was like about ready to rip off the back of the system. It's like running so hard. My PS5 has never gotten to that point where like barely like I don't think I've ever heard the fan kick on. So no, yeah, you can continue, but that's a great point.
Yeah. But in this instance, I don't think that they've really tapped PS4 or PS5 all the way to the metal like they have for PS3, because we're only 4 years in.
Yeah.
I think that developers have a lot more, especially with Unreal 5 coming into the picture, and how much more that they're showing that developers can get out of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see way more intensive or visually impressive or mechanically sound games here in these next couple of years, now that developers have had a chance to really dig into Unreal 5 or any other competing engines that have that technology now. But yeah, I think it's not enough of a jump for me from PS5 to warrant that. Like, I'm not having an issue with my PS5 to be like, I can't enjoy games on PS5. Now, like you said, if there was an issue with the hardware where it's too loud, or it doesn't, the hard drive is too slow, or there's bad connectivity with it that is improved in the Pro model, then I would definitely consider something like that. But PS5 as a whole right now is a really solid unit, and I feel like the Pro upgrade is just, it's icing on the cake, right? It's the premium experience, and I'm good where I'm at. I am content with the regular hardware.
Also, on top of that, I feel like there's also, I mean, we talk about this all the time. We sound like broken records, but there's also just a lack of games on PS5. I played my PlayStation 5 in 2023, last year. I played less than 10 hours in the entire year on my PS5. Like, that's insane. That I didn't play more than like I think I only had I know I had at least less than 10, because that's the minimum you had to get a PlayStation Wrapped, like whatever their end of the year thing. I didn't even get one of those because I had less than 10. When I actually went and looked, I think I only had like 5 or 6 total. A couple hours doing like the Final Fantasy 16 demo, and like a couple hours doing this and that, and then like that was it. So it seems wild to me also to like, hey, let's go ahead and get the PS5 Pro. This is a console that I literally didn't touch in 2023, the entire year. And then, not that games didn't come out last year, but there were so many other, like last year was a great year in gaming, like for everything. So I had like so much on my Steam Deck and on Switch and everything.
Right.
But like in general though, like we've talked about it in general, there are just a lack of games on PS5 as far as first party exclusives. Like a lot of these games that are coming out on PS5, I can play other places. That's
my big issue.
And so it's like, I'm playing on my Steam Deck, I'm playing on Switch, where PS5 exclusives, there's only been a small handful, and even then I haven't felt like super pressed to have to play them. Like I want to. I still haven't played Spider-Man 2. I want to play Spider-Man 2 so bad, but you know what? I haven't played it, which is crazy.
Right.
But all right,
Carrie,
like that's it.
Carrie
That's
in the
it.
chat
That's all
real
I
quick.
got.
She said, I disagree there. I think PS5 has amazing games, but that's me. Okay.
Oh, they're great games.
They're great games.
The ones that come out are amazing.
Right. When we say games, I don't know. I guess I can speak for both of us, but my qualifier for PS5 having a game is it is a game that Sony made from the ground up for PlayStation 5.
Right.
It's not a cross-gen title. It's not a timed exclusive. It's not, you know what I mean? And even if it does go to PC, it was originally built with the intention to be for PlayStation 5 hardware, right? So like a Ratchet and Clank or Returnal.
Yeah.
Or Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Or what's another one that is only on PS5?
Spider-Man 2 was only on PS5.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 was built for PS5.
But so many of the other games came out on PS4 as well. So it's like
Gran Turismo was on PS4, God of War was on PS4, Horizon was on PS4. And Astrobot. Astrobot was built ground up for PS5. So that's what, only 6 games really?
Over 4 years.
For over 4 years for a $400 to $500 console. I don't feel like I've gotten my money's worth yet, because that's not even the cost of the console made back at that point.
Right. And not to say like the PS5 versions of those games that came out on both aren't better, because like you look at like
no, they are.
Horizon Forbidden West is gorgeous on PS5, but it's
the split development and the split resources. They let me know that this game was not developed with just PS. Like they can't push this game because the divide would be too big between the PS5 version that they push all the resources for and the PS4 version. They have to make them look comparable so that people don't get pissed off and be like, well, why does the PS4 one look so bad and this one looks so awesome? Because then nobody's gonna buy the PS4 one. So that's the rub right there. So yeah, that's what we mean is that, if Sony made it, and it has, if a PlayStation studio made a first party game strictly for PS5, like they built it knowing this is a PS5 game, we are going to use the SSD, we're going to use the GPU, all that. That's what we count as like a game, Yeah.
Because there's tons of games that come out on PS5.
There's plenty of games on PS5 for sure. But there's not a lot of PS5 games.
Yeah, exactly. PS5 exclusive, built from the ground up for it. Surprisingly, like people, which I mean, I don't blame them. Like there's still a huge install base for PS4. Like I don't, like I can't.
I do blame them. I do blame them actually. It's 2020. It's 11 years old. I do blame them.
That's true. They every other
you've gotten
console,
your fair share money's worth. It's been time.
That's true. Every other console generation, they've done a pretty hard cut. And this one, they're like, yeah, it's fine. We'll just keep going.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we haven't gotten a PS5 game other than Astrobot in a long time. And we're not going to get one until summer of next year. Like they said, after like April or March or something of next year. So hopefully with this new wave of games, if they start releasing some, actually, they'll start just being PS5 exclusive games. That'd be great, but we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.